This one's easy. Just ask yourself how many years it's been since you've written a 20-page structured piece of persuasive writing, so like a legal brief or a dissertation or a research paper or a grant proposal. If the answer is never years ago, then yes, you should hire a writer. But if you're comfortable writing long structured documents, I think you're better off writing your own SBIR or grant proposal. That's my video, like and subscribe. I think I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but won't a writer save me time? Or give me inside information? Or don't writers know the secret words to use? Or surely they know this one simple trick that the government doesn't want people to know about. And I get it. Proposal writers promise, or at least imply, that they can do all this and more. And if you don't believe me, watch any other YouTube video and they'll tell you that hiring a grant writer is a great idea. Mind you, all the other videos were made by proposal writers, so... Anyway, I'm not a proposal writer, but I've won 8 of the 10 SBIRs and grant proposals that I've written, and I've worked on another 3 with proposal writers. And as the founder of a GovTech incubator called Eastern Foundry, and now as a venture partner with J2 Ventures, I've helped dozens of companies with their proposals, so I know this world, and I've got some thoughts on the merits of bringing in the hired guns. So here are the 3 things to know before hiring a writer. And I guess we should talk about how much you should pay also. So yeah, here are the 4 things to know. All right, first thing. So here are the major proposal steps and how long each step took me the first time I wrote a proposal. And 10 proposals later, these numbers haven't changed. It still takes me 100 hours. I thought I'd get faster with practice, but nope, somehow it's always 100 hours. But before I lose all credibility, I've talked to a lot of other winners and it takes them about 100 hours too. So it's not just me. So it's 100 hours if I go it alone, but what do these numbers look like when I've worked with a writer? And my time spent plummets to about 80 hours. And I know this seems counterintuitive. I mean, you're hiring a proposal writer, shouldn't they do most of the writing? Well, they will. But they don't know your tech, and they don't know your market, and they don't know the problem you solve, and they don't know anything else about what makes you special. So while you will spend less time writing, you're gonna spend a lot of time educating the writer on what you do and editing what they write. Now, one note on this time issue. If you work with the same writer again and again, you can get some real efficiencies because the writer will learn your business and will be able to reference their previous work for you. But even if you work with the same writer, you'll still need to make a significant contribution. So first thing to know, hiring a writer is not fire and forget, and hiring a writer won't save you that much time. So if a writer doesn't save you that much time, what's the point? Well, a good proposal writer provides something much more valuable, and that brings us to the second thing to consider. I've crunched the numbers, and all things being equal, you've got about a 1 in 6 or 17% chance of winning an SBIR Phase 1. And a 1 in 6 chance of getting a $250,000 in R&D funding is great, but remember, before you can compete for that funding, you have to spend 100 hours writing a proposal, and good opportunities don't come out that often. So you want to maximize your chances of winning when those good opportunities do come out. And there are 4 basic ways that a proposal writer can help you win. So this is going to be another numbered list, but we're already using numbers for the things to know. So I guess we'll use a lettered list instead. So number A, every time the government publishes an SBIR, they get a ton of proposals. And the government has lots of sneaky ways to toss proposals without even reading or evaluating them. Like, if you use the wrong font or margins or make some other formatting error, then the government can just throw your proposal out. And this happens all the time, especially to first-time proposers. So a good proposal writer will increase your chances of winning by making sure your proposal doesn't get tossed over a dumb compliance issue. But even if you've nailed all the formatting, your proposal may still go in the trash if... Number B, SBIR proposals are just a series of answers to a series of questions. And some of those questions are about your tech, and some are questions like, what problem does your tech solve? Or what is your research plan for the tech? Or how do you plan to sell that tech once you've made it? So questions that are tech adjacent. And in my experience, technical founders are physically unable to answer these tech adjacent questions. It's wild. The first question in most SBIR proposals is, what problem do you solve? And I can't tell you how many proposals I've read from technical founders that answer this question by giving a detailed discussion of how their tech works and why it's so great and why it's so exciting. And then at the end of this answer, there's like one sentence that says something along the lines of, and this is why my tech is going to solve your problem. Do you see the issue? The question asked about the problem, but the answer talked about the solution. There's plenty of space in the proposal to talk about the solution, but you have to answer the question the government asks, not the question you want to be there. And just to be clear, if you don't answer the questions directly, you're not going to win. Because the government reviewers have a proposal scoring key. And somewhere on that key, there's a criteria that says, does the proposal demonstrate a deep understanding of the problem, including the problem's second and third order effects? And if your proposal doesn't actually discuss the problem, you're gonna get a 0 on this factor. And zeros are bad, okay? So a good writer will increase your chances of winning by making sure that your proposal actually addresses and scores as highly as possible on each question. But lots of proposals will get a max score, and there will only be a few winners, so a good writer will make the government want to choose you. C. When the government posts an SBIR, they're usually hoping to get a variety of solutions, so they'll typically choose multiple winners, each with a different background and approach to solving the government's problem. And a good proposal writer will make sure that your offerings are framed in a way that highlights what makes you unusual and intriguing and additive to the government's pool of solutions. For example, when I was applying for my most recent STTR, I thought my team had strong technical capabilities, but I was pretty sure that a lot of other companies would be competing on their technical chops. So instead, I focused on our understanding of the mission and end user and our experience with process improvements, where we had truly unique experience. So in the proposal, I discussed our tech credentials enough to check that box, but I spent the vast majority of the proposal talking about our strengths in these non-technical aspects, and how those experiences would allow us to provide an interesting perspective on the problem and create interesting solutions. And it worked. We were one of the companies selected. So a good proposal writer will increase your chances of winning by figuring out what the competitive landscape looks like and how you can frame your offerings to be given the best chance of being part of that winner pool. Number D, a good proposal writer will tell you if you're not going to win. The best proposal writers I know are oversubscribed, and they make most of their money on success fees. More on that later. So if a good proposal writer doesn't think that you have a chance of winning, they'll tell you that and won't take your money, which is nice. And last, a proposal is a long and complex document that needs to be managed like a project, with a project management plan, defined roles and responsibilities, set review processes, and everything else to keep things running smoothly. And while proposal writing and proposal management are different skill sets, for SBIR-sized proposals, most writers could also handle the management. So the second thing to think about is what writing gaps you have, and whether a proposal writer can improve your chances of winning by filling any of them. But not all proposal writers are created equal. So how are you going to find the right one for you? And how much should you pay them? Well, hands down the best way to find writers is through referrals. There's simply no substitute for a recommendation from someone you trust. But if the people in your network don't have any good recommendations, try asking for referrals on LinkedIn and Reddit or anywhere else professional communities hang out. You can also search Upwork and Fiverr or any of the other gig work sites for writers, and these are nice because there are a lot of people on them. The downside is that you have to do a lot of vetting when you use these sites. And you can also reach out to proposal writing companies. And prop shops tend to be more expensive, but they also tend to have deep and broad expertise, which is convenient. But however you find a writer, you should interview them, and the first question I ask is what their win rate is. Now, writers hate this question for very valid reasons. And it's almost impossible to validate their answer, but you should still ask. And I think that around 50% is the target win rate. Anything less, and I question whether they're going to really add value. And anything higher, and I question whether they're being honest. Next question, how many proposals have they written? If someone has a 100% win rate, but they've only written a couple proposals, then I'm a lot less impressed, and I'm less interested in hiring them. Because at the end of the day, I'm paying for experience, and they don't have any. And related question, I ask how many proposals they've written for the agency that released the SBIR I'm interested in. Anyone who tells me that they can write my Navy SBIR because they've written 12 Air Force proposals is going in the trash. The questions in the Navy and Air Force SBIRs are similar, but what counts as a good answer for each can be very different. And of course I ask for references. If they push back on this, I walk away. So the third thing is vetting the writer to make sure they have the experience and skills you need. And before we get to how much you should pay a writer, I want to say thank you to this video's sponsor, J2 Ventures and FedScout. J2 Ventures is the defense market's leading dual-use venture fund. So if you're pursuing federal sales, or you think federal sales are in your future, and you want to take your business to the next level, consider an equity raise from J2. And if you want help searching, understanding, and evaluating government contracts or grants, check out FedScout. FedScout gives startups and small businesses the skills and tools they need to start and grow in the federal market. And before we get to price, there are two other small benefits of hiring a proposal writer. SBIR proposals don't change that much year over year, so if a proposal writer helps you create solid content today, you'll be able to use it again and again. And working with a good proposal writer will make you a better proposal writer. You'll see how they manage the process, you'll see how they respond to each question, you'll see how they build a budget, and a lot more. And if you take the time to learn what they're doing, you'll be better prepared when you start writing your own proposals. Now let's address the elephant in the room. How much should you pay? And there's no industry standard, but here are the most common approaches. There's flat fee per proposal, hourly fee, success fee, and combinations of those. So here's my 2 cents on each option. Right off the bat, I don't like pure flat fee arrangements. They incentivize the writers to put in the least effort possible because they get the same amount whether they phone it in or kill themselves on your proposal. I also don't like pure hourly fee models. You don't know how long it should take them to write a killer proposal, and hourly arrangements encourage the writer to put in hours well past the point of diminishing returns. Which leaves us with success fees. And while I like them the most writers won't do a pure success fee model because they can get screwed if the customer decides to walk away mid-application. And this does happen, which is BS, and really hurts writers who've poured hours into a document. And that leaves us with hybrid models, which I think give you the best of all worlds. And I recommend a hybrid model where you pay a flat fee between $3,000 and $10,000, plus an award fee of 3 to 10% of the award value. So if the writer spends around 100 hours on your proposal, the flat fee works out to $30 to $100 an hour for the writer, which feels fair and big enough to make sure that clients don't walk away. And then there's the success fee to motivate the writer to do their best work. A 3 to 10% success fee on a $250,000 SBIR Phase 1 means that if they win, the writer gets another $7,000 to $25,000, which is a lot of motivation. And sure, paying $15,000 to $25,000 for a proposal is a lot, but you only pay that much if you win. So I'm pretty okay with it. Now a quick side note. A lot of people will tell you that you can't pay a writer a success fee. And that's not quite true. What is true is that if you win, you can't use the award money to pay the success fee. So if you have a success fee arrangement, make sure your accounting is very clean. And all the money from the award goes to the work under that award. And make sure you pay the success fee out of some other pot of money. So these are some industry averages, but there's no set rate for proposal support. It's a negotiation, and you generally get what you pay for. Except for a couple outfits that somehow charge an insane flat fee and an insane success fee and produce mediocre results. I legitimately don't know how these people stay in business. But do you know what's better than paying a writer to help you write a winning proposal? Having your state pay the writer to help you write a winning proposal. And to find out about state, federal, and other support you may qualify for, check out the video on the left. And we're on our way to 42 videos on how to fund your startup using non-dilutive federal programs, so subscribe to catch them all.